Do you think that would be your best gift towards your dad or your parents to pay back your tuition?
I'm never gonna pay it back though.
Wait, actually?
No, I don't want to. I'm just a bad daughter.
Oftentimes when people seek out to be some sort of content creator, entrepreneur, or beat whatever odds are placed in front of them, you're gonna get a lot of people in your ear telling you, you can't do this, you won't be successful, and ultimately you won't have the full support that you need in order to make the journey happen. But ultimately, if you wanna step out there and take a leap of faith, not like Shameik Moore, but you know, doing what you do and becoming whatever you wanna be, that has to be a journey that you fly solo. That's most people's situations. Now, there are definitely other cases where people have the full support of their family, their parents, their brothers, their loved ones. In an extra Emily situation, she had the full financial support of her parents, and when she made it big, she decided to repay them by not repaying them.
But you could.
Yeah, but I'm not going
Wait,
to.
do you have student loans?
Yeah, student loans to my parents.
And you're making them pay it off?
No, like my parents paid, and then they're like, pay us back for college, and I just like don't want to. They're fine.
Are you doing it kind of like almost out of spite because you're like, I don't want to because like I can, but I know that you guys don't need it?
Yes, they don't need it. And I'm
You
like,
don't need it.
Ooh. Her logic and reasoning behind this is not the best, but I'm gonna give her a chance here. So the gist is her parents paid for her tuition in full, all $170,000. And shouts out to them. It took her 2 years longer than it was supposed to, but ultimately she got the job done. The money went to good use. It gave her the opportunity for a life in which they didn't have. Like she literally went Ivy League for Pete's sakes. Most people don't do that. Now the problem that I have with Emily here is that she was on the path of paying it back. She paid about $10,000 back to them, but then she decided to stop. And maybe deciding to stop isn't the worst idea in the world, but her reasoning for stopping is to do it out of spite. Ooh, spiting your parents vocally is obviously crazy. Like, I don't even think I could verbalize those in words. Like, there's nothing to really say there. And I know she wasn't expecting this sort of interaction or reaction from her fans and her chats and her friends in this situation because they are telling her, go ahead and pay them back. But Emily opens up a little bit more, which we got to open up our parasocial eye and really investigate what's going on here. And she gives us a little bit more detail to the story.
the only reason they want me to pay it back is because I'm a streamer.
Yeah, you should pay it back.
Because I didn't use my degree. So they're like, okay.
How much is it?
170K.
You should pay it back.
I don't want to.
Oh,
I mean, I did pay them 10K, and then I was like, I'm over this. I don't want to pay it.
That whole streamer comment, I think I got a problem there. Now, before I go deeper into this and give my true thoughts and opinions, we got to go back. We really got to figure out where this started and get more detail on this. I don't want the allegations that we don't do research here on this channel. This isn't Emily's first time talking about this. She's been on different platforms and podcasts and streams talking about how she has to pay her parents back for this handsome amount of money that they dished out to her for her to get a piece of paper.
What does it feel to disappoint your parents?
I have to pay them back for college now because I didn't use my degree.
Wait, really? That's the punishment?
Yeah, they're like, Emily, now that you're a streamer and you don't even use your degree, you have to pay us back for college.
Wait.
I thought they said it as a joke my freshman year of college. They're like, Emily, you're gonna pay us back for college, right? And I'm like, haha, yeah, sure. And then 4 years later, my mom's like, Emily, you know when you agreed to pay us for college?
How much do you owe them?
Like,
Columbia's not cheap.
I think I'm paying them $8K every 6 months for 10 years.
That's
So
such a fucking foreigner parent thing.
yeah.
See, I have problem with them even hanging this over their child's head. Why are we saying that we're putting this money towards this thing that's supposed to be for your future if it comes with all these strings attached? And before they came to some sort of agreement that she ultimately signed up for, was this acknowledged or was this explained? She said in the clip that this was some sort of a joke, but it should have been thoroughly explained to her that, hey, you're about to make a decision that is going to be life-changing for you. You're about to sign up for $170,000 in debt, for Pete's sake. So before you decide to go to some Ivy League school, which we'll talk about later why I feel like she might have even been pressured into doing it, you should be very aware that we expect you to pay us back. I don't know, maybe that would have helped shape her decision making in this situation. But okay, parents helping you become better and have a better future. Not too bad of a deal. And I know that a lot of people have the caveat of using the degree or not using the degree, but she did use the degree at one point.
Graduated from Columbia with a 3.9 GPA?
Yeah.
Bro, why are you streaming? Why aren't you just being successful?
Because I like streaming more. It's too fun.
Yeah, but you could have went to like an Ivy League, like, couldn't you have been something actually in the world?
Yeah, I had a job and then I got fired because I streamed during work. I had a finance bank job and then I was doing a subathon and I'm not gonna cancel my subathon. I'm not gonna pause the subathon for work. I was like working and then my manager calls me mid-subathon because someone snitched on me and I got fired like a few months later. And now I'm a full-time streamer.
Now, as somebody that's participating in the 9-to-5 side hustle content creation sphere, I won't speak of how I handle situations like this. But I do think it's a little bit silly how she was a little bit lackadaisical with how she was, managing her secret life from her employer, especially the type of job that I assumed that she had. Finance banking is a pretty rigid industry. But hey, success stories don't always make sense. They don't always have the most logical, insane thought process behind them. It wouldn't be rags to riches stories otherwise. Now, everything seemed like it was some sort of non-committal, not serious agreement that they had between Emily and the parents. It was a joke. It'd be nice to get paid back, but if you don't, then it is what it is. But then I saw this one clip and it changed my perspective. Not only did she agree to pay our tuition back in full, it wasn't done in the joking way that we thought before. She actually agreed upon this and then flipped it and said, never mind.
So you don't pay back your tuition because you don't use your degree. You haven't paid us yet.
Because I don't think I should pay you back for my tuition.
But you signed a contract, allow me to go to the stream, and then I will pay your tuition back fully. Full tuition back.
I signed that contract as a joke.
No, there's no joke. Contract is contract. How come contract becomes a joke?
When mommy asked for the first payment, I was like, wait, you're serious?
Well, we can use that to see you in the court.
What?
Yeah.
Literally, you just gave me a piece of notebook paper, and then you're like, just sign
Doesn't
here.
matter what kind of paper it is.
Now, this is where this situation gets really gray, and I don't know their family dynamic, but even here, this conversation seems jovial and playful, etc., etc. However, from my situation doing research on this video, they bring it up quite often, even if it's in a jokey manner. But a contract on a piece of paper, these people act as if this is the most legally binding things. And why are we having these types of conversations about parents and children and stuff like that? Now, she did ultimately agree, so your word is your word. I get that. But putting this much pressure on your child to pay you back is weird. And also, allowed to stream. These words that are being used in this conversation to me are kind of wild. At this point, she's a grown adult. Now, if she's dependent on them, that's a whole different conversation and story. I can't vouch for you, Emily. You got to do what you got to do. And that means you got to play ball sometimes. But ultimately, in this conversation, how can you allow your child to do something that they desire to do? That's something that I don't get. Whether they use the degree or not shouldn't be a contingency on if you had to get paid back. If you felt as if the right thing for them to do was get paid back, or if you felt the right thing for your child to do was pay you back, it shouldn't matter if they use that piece of paper.
Mom, do you think it's a waste that I went to college?
That is a really good question. I spent a lot of money on that. And then you become a streamer.
But I'm paying you back for college.
Yes, that's unnecessary. Yeah, we're almost broke because you went to the college. Go to the expensive one, yeah.
Now, I'm going to touch on this concept a little bit later in the video, but ultimately, I don't like some of the way that these conversations are being had on camera. It seems like there's a bigger dynamic that goes on behind the scenes that should probably be best left off the internet. But hey, it's the internet. It is what it is. You almost going broke to send your child to Columbia doesn't get any sympathy out of me. You probably should have chose better schools. And I've seen comments that say, oh, well, who's to say Emily didn't want to go to Columbia? She didn't want to go to these private schools and her parents just sent her there and they were just trying to appease their child. That's the problem. You're trying to play into this 17-year-old, 18-year-old fantasy of saying, I want to go to these Ivy League schools. If it's not within your budget, if you can't do it without not needing the money to be back in your pocket, hell, if you almost go broke sending your kid to college, then you need to do something different. And I may be speaking from a different perspective because I was able to get a computer science degree under my own merit with my own money, my own backing. I got it through scholarships, whatever loans I needed to put together, but I did it on my own. I didn't have the luxury of having my parents front this extreme amount of money to get me to some Ivy League school. But my parents set the standard in my house that they weren't paying for college, especially that type of money. Why? Because they weren't going to be on the hook for something like that. And they damn sure weren't going to be expecting that amount of money back from their kids if they paid it off. At that point, it's nasty. And I also think that it's nasty because this is all contingent on her using the degree or not. If she was using the degree, they wouldn't be asking for this money. But the fact that she's using it means that you have to pay it back. Now, I specifically sought out the response of creators like Jason the Ween just because of their experience. And I'm talking about the Asian American, the immigrant to American pipeline experience to see what they would have to say before I explain why I think that this is a little bit of tiger parenting going on.
I don't know her parents more than her. But based off the clips, I'm like, if you a millionaire, me personally, I will pay off the debt still. But, we all different people.
Now, this is where I feel like I'm going to lose some people. Jason uses some very choice verbiage here, and maybe I'm overanalyzing it. All this is very parasocial at this point. I agree with his ultimate sentiments, though, of I don't really know them and I would pay my parents back. But he uses the word debt. I would pay back the debt. How can you be in debt to your parents? Especially because the obligation only relies on what you do in life or how much money you specifically make. If she was supposed to be indebted to her parents, it wouldn't be based off of what outcome or what career path she ultimately chooses. It would just be a general indebtedness towards her parents. And I believe that Emily, just like a lot of people, want to do better for their parents, want to provide for them or give the things that they don't have. And ultimately, any chance that they get, they would give to them, which she does. She talked about paying for trips to Cancun and paying for other lavish gifts.
My parents are like overall really happy and think I'm a good daughter. They were very happy that I bought Cancun for them.
But this idea to me that you owe somebody something, even though you were brought into this world without any choice of yours, doesn't make too much sense to me. I'm gonna have to disagree. Now, I can admit her verbiage is nasty, talking about how she doesn't want to do it. It's out of spite. She just changed her mind. That is where I draw the line. Like, there's no need to talk to your parents like that. But then on the other side, her parents seem a little bit greedy, because how can you expect and accept all these lavish gifts, facial, spa days, all these other treatments, and then still be holding over her head this ultimate debt that she has to pay back to them, and it's only contingent if you are doing this thing called streaming. And I'm definitely not going to tell her how to use her money. She definitely has the funds to do it. But you can't accept this and then also be expecting that. Isn't that looking the gift horse in the mouth, or whatever that old adage is? Imagine being on a beach in Cancun and you just got flown out first class on the trip, and you got your little mask on and you're sitting next to your daughter. You got these people rubbing on your feet and all this stuff like that. And you turn to her and say, hey, you still owe me that $50 from when I helped you get those groceries that one time, as you're sitting on the trip that she paid for. Is that not brain dead? Now, what I feel is if there are more layers to this, I don't think that it's just about the money. They seem to be okay. I hated that sentiment of almost went broke, even where they sit in that big house with their $1 million daughter. We're going on trips and everything like that. These people are financially okay. There's a bigger dynamic here. And I think that there are elements of tiger parenting, which I think that is something that plagues the immigrant community, specifically the Asian American community.
Besides just the way I looked, a lot of other cultural differences. Like, I had a tiger mom. My mom never let me do anything. I was restricted to staying in my 10-mile radius small town unless I was going with an adult. My curfew was 10:30. I had a shower curfew. I needed to take a shower by a certain time before I went to bed.
I've never heard of that before, shower curfew.
I had so many rules.
Tiger parenting is a term coined by Asian American author Amy Chua that describes these very, very strict, rigid, and almost abusive in nature parenting styles that seem to plague the Asian community, but also it's something that I find that a lot of immigrants experience when they are in America. It's a different style of parenting. It's not Western parenting. It's very strict. It's very no nonsense. It's very I'm on you about being the best you that you can be, perfect, perfect, perfect. And it can go overboard. Now, I don't think that this is that situation, but some of the verbiage that is brought up, some of the thought processes and ideology and the decision making screams tiger parenting to me. I've preached it over and over again, but why is the repayment based off of the career path that she ultimately chose? If the success of your child is the ultimate goal, it doesn't matter if they make the most money juggling balls or in banking at Chase Bank. If they're successful, that's all that should matter. 2, giving should be a selfless act. What people do with what you give them and what you expect in return should not even be on the forefront of your tongue. 3, I'm sorry, she's a child. She shouldn't be able to make the decision to send herself to Columbia. That shouldn't even be on her radar. I don't understand why she was allowed to say, I want to go to this Ivy League school and have it be paid out of pocket at the age of 17. That seems dumb to me. And 4, the reason why I really believe there's some elements of tiger parenting in this is because how does a child from Omaha even get the idea of Columbia in their head to go to school and get into finance baking? I'm not saying that young women don't aspire for this career path, and not saying that it's the most wildest thing in the world, but I'm gonna be honest with you, this is one of the more wilder things in the world. The obligation and the constant pushing of the debt repayment from the parents while consuming the lavish lifestyle and the rewards that their child has gotten from a whole different industry screams to me tiger parenting.
I grew up with a tiger mom, a tiger dad, and essentially I grew up with a tiger family. They were super strict. They never let me have any fun. I had to excel in everything that I did, but also having tiger parents, my parents never praised me. They never gave me gratitude when I did something good or I succeeded at something that they pushed me to do. Not to mention how emotionally unavailable my parents were towards me. That has now grown into my adulthood, and I am trying to fix that. I was their American dream. Me going to school and me excelling in these things, they banked on that. That was their American dream.
Now look, this whole conversation is parasocial as fuck, and I think tiger parenting is a pretty aggressive title to put on somebody. So I don't want to say that Emily's parents are full-fledged tiger parents, but I do believe that there are elements of tiger parenting in this conversation that's being had, especially the fact that they're still benefiting from her and her successful career while still seemingly demanding that she pay back this loan. I just think that it's nasty that the internet is making her feel some sort of way for the complexities of their relationship. Now, granted, she should not talk this nastily about the situation, and all of this is basically for clicks and clout. We know that. But at the end of the day, parents shouldn't look at their kids as some sort of retirement plan. They shouldn't look at their kids as some sort of get out of poverty card. They should be able to take ownership and control of their own actions and their destiny. And ultimately, if you build a great relationship with your children, it should not be any conversation about taking care of or paying back or being a part of each other's life. If you do a good job at parenting, 10 times out of 10, your child is going to want to give to you naturally. Get out of these people's pockets at the end of the day, man. I stop talking about it.